Hello everyone, Garry Turner here, founder, creator and business developer of the Radicality ecosystem of transformative partners. You can find out more at radicality.co.uk and my email is garry.turner@radicality.co.uk. So this interesting piece of art that I'm currently showing you as I introduce this video today is a piece of art that I drew in early 2024 as I was going through the incredible Possible Futures cruise, Intro to Decolonial Sustainability. Now, what's contained within this video is my personal reflections. This is a piece of art that I had to draw, I felt compelled to draw, to try and help me make sense of where we are, not only within the business world, but systemically within our communities, within capitalism, within the culture with which we've all been indoctrinated and brought up in. No judgment at this point of me or of you. However, there is an invitation to get uncomfortable, and I mean get out of the comfort zone. So here in this drawing, this is where I spent the first 37 years of my life. Behind these conditioned masks. I didn't even realise I was being conditioned to sit behind these range of masks. And what is in essence here is a range of what's called, according to Tema Okino's work and the work of her partners and collaborators, supremacy culture patterns. So if you imagine that these masks, what masks that I've worn continuously for the first 37 years and I still have to wrestle with today as we end 2024 as I record, are things like perfectionism, saviorism, growth is bigger and more, defensiveness, binary thinking. So there's a whole range of intersecting cultural patterns that we've all been conditioned with over the last 500 to 600 years, accelerated during the Industrial Revolution of the last 100. And we just don't even realise that we're sitting behind these different range of intersecting masks. So my ones in particular have been fear, have been saviorism in particular, and on occasion defensiveness. They've been the bigger masks that I've worn that I haven't realised I've been wearing throughout these first 37 years of my life. And I still wear those masks from time to time, and it's natural to do that, no shame or guilt, but it's bloody uncomfortable when we realise where we are hiding behind these different masks. Now, why I start here as part of this diagram, this drawing today, this piece of art, is because if we don't peek behind these masks, if we don't try and remove these, there is no chance for us to embrace the abundance of possibility, the discomfort of growth, and the blank page that's available for us to reimagine what work, society, community, connectedness, health looks and feels like. Now, this is not a solution. This is not the one right way, which is another cultural pattern. I've already mentioned fear. That's another cultural pattern. You can really see how these things intersect. But I just invite you, if you've got this far in this video, what are some of the masks you may be wearing that you're not even aware of? Are you afraid of giving up power, of not being the one that has all the answers in the room, etc.? There's some very anecdotal aspects which can help us realise what masks we might be wearing. And why this is so important is that when we come over here, these masks, particularly for us in the West, stop us talking about and sensing fully into the reality of Western hegemonic culture, supremacy culture, which is basically that the West, my life, many of your lives as you're watching, are predicated on harm being continued in the global South. Think about where your apparel comes from, your pair of shoes, your trainers, your jogging bottoms, your shirt. Most of the time it's coming from Vietnam, it's coming from India, it's coming from Africa. You know, very few of our garments, think about it, are produced in Europe. And if they are, they're very expensive. Why are they expensive? Because they're paying a living wage in Europe. However, we're so used to getting cheap, consumable products from the global South. If they're cheap, where's all the money going? And why do we still have low, almost slave wages happening in the global South? Why do we have young children going down mines in the Congo to try and get rare earth metals for our electric vehicles? You know, the list goes on. The harm being caused in the global South to help us continue to live the lifestyles that we have in the West is real, and it's happening today as we end 2024 going into 2025. This conversation isn't being had honestly and openly enough in corporate spaces. because so many of us are wearing these different masks of supremacy culture, in particular fear and right to comfort patterns. Combined with the harm being caused in the global south, we have us busting through the planetary boundaries. So just have a look at the work of Kate Raworth, Donut Economics. There's a whole range of other non-Western scholars that are actually been pointing at this stuff for generations. I'm not going to co-opt anybody in this particular video, but I will invite you to have a look at the book Hospicing Modernity. Vanessa, I just need to get the name correct. So this is the book, Hospicing Modernity, by Vanessa Mercado de Oliveira. Sorry if I have butchered your name, Vanessa, but this book is a critical book to make sense of all of this stuff I'm sharing with you now. So we're busting through the planetary boundaries, but we've still got this growth is bigger and more. We have to keep growing, we have to keep accumulating, we have to keep consuming for whatever reason, linked to your identity. You know, I'm not worthy if I don't have the next house, the good-looking girlfriend, the holiday abroad. You know, all of this stuff is intersecting. None of it is individual and none of it is binary. So we're causing harm in the global south to get our raw materials and our products produced. We're busting through the planetary boundaries. And at the same time, Western corporations are still trying to budget, trying to estimate what next year's budget will be, which has to be an increase on this and an increase in this. Just think about that, people. I know my network, and I know generally no judgment, but I'm inviting you to feel below the neck senior leaders, CEOs, Chief Human Resource Officers, Chief Commercial Officers, Chief Diversity Officers, Chief Sustainability Officers, all of you out there. I know that you are well-meaning people, that we've all been brought up in this supremacy culture behind these masks, but we've got to start getting real people around how our systems are predicated, harming the global south, busting through our planetary boundaries, and we're still trying to add more budget, more growth to this harm and busting through the planetary boundaries. Now, why isn't anybody raising the alarm? Why are we not having this conversation day in, day out? Because we've been conditioned to stay in our comfort zones. Again, right to comfort, cultural pattern. If we bust out of that comfort zone and start having this very conversation as adults in the room, looking at what's really going on without trying to blame each other, what we need to be blaming and looking at is the 1%. We need to be looking at who is driving this hyper-consumption, who's driving us to have to consume more to justify each other's existence in jobs, etc. Media, government, finance. Just keep on thinking about those systemic levers and how they influence everything we see, be and do in the West. So again, to get out of our comfort zone, to break the silence, to have conversations in our workplaces, you know, at a grassroots level, have a chat with your colleagues, have a chat with your executive team, start trying to look really at what's going on, what even gives us a profit in the first place in the West. If we're making a profit in the West, it's because of low wages in the global south and us busting through the planetary boundaries and extracting all of the minerals and labour from countries far away from our own in the West. If we're going to grow as human beings, if we're going to transcend where we are towards something much better, much generative, much healthier, much more fair and equal, but importantly, that centres the harm being caused by our Western system so that we can actually develop systems that are flourishing and connectedness and thriving, we're going to need to get into this growth zone. And to get in that growth zone means we have to look at the masks. We have to look in the mirror. We have to slow down and be with one another in community, within businesses, within our local communities and beyond, because we have to get uncomfortable. I recorded a video recently around unsafety versus uncomfortable, two very different things. And of course, the reason we have all of this going on is because whether you have a flat structure or not, the power, important distinction here, the power still sits within the hands of very few people. You can have a flat organisation, you can have a self-managed organisation, you can have a fully hierarchical organisation. Hierarchy, like technology, is agnostic. It's where does the power sit within that system and structure. That's what dictates everything. And within this seemingly productive, high growth capitalist structure, innovation is crushed, connectedness is crushed, challenge of the status quo is completely crushed. So this is where we are, and I'd love to invite you, if you've got this far, thank you, you'll see clips from this video time to time. I'm just inviting you to feel into and spot these patterns for yourself in your context, particularly if you're a senior executive leader within chemicals, pharmaceuticals, food, manufacturing, energy, the global supply chain that wraps all of that. I want to talk to you. I want to work with you. I want us to come together as the human beings that we are, not just the human doings, the human beings. We need to acknowledge all of this, and we need to do our inner work behind the mask. Because if we can do that together, and this is multi-generational, everything I'm saying today, this is not unique. This is not Garry's unique perspective. This is a coalescing, this is a amalgamation of learning, insight that I've generated over the last 10, 11 years since my own awakening journey started at age 37, but accelerated over the last 4.5 years as I've been on an active decolonisation journey with the Possible Futures cruise. Check out possiblefutures.earth to find out more about their Intro to Decolonial Sustainability course, an incredible course which has helped me join these dots at an accelerated rate over the last 4.5 years. If we can acknowledge where we really are, if we can start getting out of our heads and connect head, heart, gut, if we can truly get into our growth zone, out of our comfort zone, and if we can actually interrogate and challenge the status quo with these systems through our organisations, through our communities, through our families, and do that whilst interrogating behind the mask. Why do we show up? Why do we not show up? What keeps us in comfort? What are we really afraid of? If we can do that work together, it's very much communal work, then there is the possibility in generations to come that we get to operate from a blank canvas again. We get to do more work in nature. We get to remember and reconnect to who and what we are in our essence, which we are before the age of 5, when the education system in the West starts to dumb us down. Connect head, heart, gut, leverage network effect, leverage the paradox of the pull and push of life. Innovation, creativity. We unleash our humanity. Transformational humanity is sitting within all of us, while organisations continue to just push a digital transformation agenda. Where is the human transformation agenda, or as I like to call it, the human remembering journey and transformation? Because this is not new stuff. They've been writing about this, philosophers, for many millennia, but we've got really, really lost in this, really lost in the hyper-consumption, hyper-capitalist world which has taken us all off a cliff. Just look at the increase in food bank usage, up 100x, the exponential curve that nobody wants to see, just in the UK over the last 15 years. 2009, less than 30,000 parcels. 23, 24, over 3 million parcels of food banks in the UK alone, and some of those people are teachers assistants. I've even heard of some schools having a food cupboard. People working in our education system in the so-called developed West have a bloody food cupboard for people that are struggling to get by on their teacher's wage. Think about that, people. This is not a system that's working for the masses. And so here's an invitation. Do the inner work, get behind your masks. I'm here to help you. The Radicality system of transformative partners is here to help you. Loads of people I can connect you to help you do more of this deep inner work around decolonisation, systems understanding, systems change. And together we can reimagine the 99% of people on this planet that do want to stay on this planet, that don't just want to build rockets and bunkers to hide from the absolute BS that we've been brought up on and conditioned to believe is normal. There's nothing normal about this. This serves 15% of the global population in the so-called developed West. 85%, the global majority, remain in bondage, and Earth herself remains in bondage. I remember hearing something not so long ago. We don't need to worry about climate change and CO2 emissions and whether or not we're going to save planet Earth. She will be totally fine. The dinosaurs have come and gone. The Romans have come and gone. All sorts of tribes have come and gone. She'll still be here. We just won't be. So it's time for us to wake up and realise this is not about saving planet Earth. It's about saving ourselves, about coming together as a community to reimagine better for the future generations that come, no matter what they sound like, no matter what they look like, no wherever they live in the world. So much good is possible going into 2025. So much is possible going into 2025. But we have to do this deep, deep inner work. We have to acknowledge the cultural patterns. We've got to start being honest that no amount of certification for sustainability or DEI or other topics, they're all important things to be doing, but the certification means bugger all if we're not actually doing this deep inner work and looking to imagine towards something well beyond this degenerative system that we're currently part of. There is my not really a TED Talk as we end 2024. Radicality.co.uk. Challenge me, engage in the conversation. Let's set up some spaces, but we need the people with the power in this system to come and join us in this journey. Are you ready? garry.turner@radicality.co.uk. Hope to see you soon.